Which is a great name because obviously that was the old tagline from the original
For
movie.
Alien, yes.
It is a reshoot of Alien, in a way. The ship design is awesome. I did wonder, we had to go back to the ship at some point because they were on the ship so shortly in episode 1, and the cast is pretty somewhat big names in like character acting. So it's pretty exciting to get back on the ship. We obviously knew the ship was coming because we're a little bit behind. This is the halfway mark ep of the season.
Okay, so 10 ep season.
I think so.
And this one takes place right before the first shot that we
17
see
days,
of
I believe.
the show.
Yep.
So
17 days from where we're at.
Season 1, episode 1 starts with the final moments of this ep.
Almost, but yes. There's another scene, but yeah.
And do you remember did you write down the ship's name?
I didn't.
You're more of a Francophile than I am. It's I don't know how to pronounce it.
Can you try?
Maginot.
Oh, Maginot? Interesting.
And you know what that's a reference to?
I don't.
It was a line of battlements, fortified whatever in France that they made between World War I and World War II so that they could stop the Germans from attacking again. So World War I comes, France gets pretty blown up, and they decide we're going to do something about this. We're going to make the Maginot Line.
Named by Andre Maginot.
And guess what? It
didn't work.
Does not work. So this is a symbol of misplaced faith
in our technology and strategy. That's awesome. Look at you doing lore.
History guy.
This whole episode starts with Morrow being waken up from... Is he in cryosleep? I think he is.
I think he's in cryosleep, yes.
One crew member's already dead. The other one has a face hugger on it.
They're pretty much out of gas, and there's a fire.
That happens later, actually. But what I thought was so funny about this, I love the comic relief of the other security officer who's much younger than Morrow, and like he's just going off about the security camera he has of watching the second in command have sex with somebody else that they're not obviously not supposed to have a relationship, but come on, you shove people on a ship for 65 years, like, are you out of your mind? And
she was very pretty.
She's a very pretty young lady. At this point, one of the people with the face hugger is the captain, or is the captain the one that's dead? No, the one that's dead is the... No, I think the captain's dead.
I think the captain is dead.
They tried to pull it off, and it killed him. The other one is the one that she was in love with, or at least had a relationship with, and they decide to put him into cryo. That's what Morrow says to do, even though she's technically in charge. He's basically kind of running the show, and he's like, "Look, this is protocol," and she's like, "You're right, that's protocol. I'll do it." She's actually pretty good at being a captain, I think, because she is has some human side, but understands the value of the protocol.
Well, I thought she was bad.
I don't think she was bad. I think she makes one huge mistake, but I think for the most part she is sticking to the protocol, but she at least is relying on Morrow to
If she was following the protocol, then Morrow wouldn't have to threaten her.
That's fair.
Which he has to do a couple of different times.
He does.
And protocol is not to have sex with your science
she
person.
broke that
I mean,
one.
there's a legion of things against protocol that she's doing. I like that she has some love for her shipmates, but I would not say she's doing a great job at captaining from a corporate standpoint. Getting out the guidelines, the binder of all the rules. She's doing a bad job.
She is reluctant, Captain. Well,
rubric.
I don't know if she's reluctant, but okay. I can see it from a corporate side. I would think she makes what I'd call a good leader, which we won't see for very long.
I thought pretty much everybody on board was a bunch of dipshits.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, they're obviously dipshits in the sense that is, even though this mission is super important, they obviously seem to be kind of a ragtag bunch. Not everyone's gonna sign up for a 65-year mission.
Well, I think
away
that's
from your family and
I think
stuff.
that's the key point, is that
Yeah.
the people that are doing this really have some very particular reason for doing so, and so you're not going to get the
Morrow
brightest.
definitely seems to be the only one that is super, super good at his job. And I think that's why he has the like most important job of this. Maybe the captain, but we don't learn a whole lot about the captain.
Yeah,
except
we
for that
can't
he yells at our
gauge the captain, but the
he yells at Creepy Tang.
junior
About
engineer
watching
was
girls
an
sleep
idiot.
and
Yes,
sleep.
there's the creepy guy who's just taking a look at this lady
Creepy Tang.
sleeping. The science lady is just eating a sandwich with her open lounging bar.
We
and
will
doesn't
cover that. 'Cause
Close all the.
Chibuzo is her name, and she
She
is
was a disaster.
she's the biggest offender in my mind of the whole thing. So they put him into cryo. That's the like move, which we find out is not cold enough to keep the alien actually in cryo.
No.
It might slow it down a little bit, but not much.
No, he pops right out of there.
Morrow is immediately woken up from sleep. He's hanging out in his bunk. I don't know if it's right here, but he's hanging out in his bunk, and we see him read some letters from his daughter back at home. And then we see some flashbacks to him talking to his daughter about, this is the planet I'm going to. When I get back, things are going to be better. Obviously, he's going to miss her entire life. But then we get another letter that she died when she was 19 in a fire. I don't know if that's what happened. I'm going to say
You're skeptical.
I'm skeptical of that for a couple reasons. One, I could see them faking her death in general just to make sure that his whole mission is the mission, not getting home safely to his family, which absolutely checks out because that's exactly what he does. He literally, like, that's kind of his motivation now, is like, I lost everything for this mission, so this has to pay off. And not just financially, like, this mission is now just my life's work. And I think that's a lot to do with her death. He obviously, and we talked about this earlier, like, he has some internal struggle watching his crew die, for sure. Like, you can see it constantly. The conversations he has with Slightly about it, like, you can see him kind of like internally, like, no, you don't understand what sacrifice is. Like, me, like, I did not want to do all these things, but he's very like quick to the company line. I don't know if that excuses him, but I definitely see the motivation, which for him, it's like, if we don't get these creatures, none of this is worth anything.
In the company line is the aliens, each and every one of them, are individually more valuable than the entirety of the human beings
And
on the ship.
we see that reiterated to the captain. Captain Zavari, who takes over. She goes in to tell Mother that there's a change in command. The captain's dead. And the first thing it asks is to acknowledge
That the aliens are more important.
That the specimens are criteria number one. And I think she asks even over crew life, like, she even asks specifically. And the aliens, like, or the Mother's like, confirmed. And then she stalls. Zavari kind of sits there like, that's insane. This bothers me. And then Mother quickly reiterates, is like, you need to like confirm that that's the mission now, or I'm going to assign a new captain. And as we know, Mother's just kind of really actually in charge. I love the direct take from the early Alien movies. That whole Mother room is freaking dope. I'll address this later. I don't understand why Mother wasn't watching people's conversations. She's like the super powerful AI, but isn't intelligent enough to like watch all outgoing transmissions from people that they're having their conversations. Because I can't think that they're like, oh no, we need to give them their privacy when they're talking back at home. Like, this is super evil corp. We'll get into why I think that's important later. But at this point, we kind of find out that most of the crew's in cryo. We find out Morrow wakes up from kind of like dreaming about his daughter, and there's now a fire. which means someone on the crew is actively sabotaging them.
We've got a saboteur, and we find out who it is. We find out what they want. They want a new synthetic body.
They want to live forever.
They want to live forever, and the person who is bribing the saboteur is Boy Cavalier. So that's why the ship crashes.
BK wants to have it his way.
That's why it crashes in the region of the world that it crashes in. So we find out that this wasn't just an accidental whoops-a-daisy.
He specifically says
mayhem
if you can
gone
pull
wrong.
this off.
Mm-hmm. This was
You'll
all
be rewarded
intentional
heavily.
for the Wayland ship to crash down in the Prodigy area, and then for Boy Cavalier to recover all of these specimens.
Do you think this will become a you get what you ask for type situation?
Oh yeah.
In BK's sense, because he's like, I really want this, and now he has to deal with all the aliens. What I thought was most interesting about that is that we find out this guy Petrovich has not been sleeping. What was interesting about that is it's Creepy Tang who tells him, and Creepy Tang, typical to Creepy Tang style, doesn't just tell him outright who the guy is who's been sabotaging all this. He's just kind of keeps wandering around doing his thing until Morrow's like interrogating him, like, I know it's you that did this, and he's like, that's stupid, basically. And I actually really like that scene because Tang is just like, you guys freaking hate me, you treat me like shit, like rightfully so, he is a freaking creeper. So why would I tell you, like,
Yeah.
like, and he's also like, I also know that like we're screwed. Like Tang's like, we are a dart. Like there is no, like, even if we get like this fire out, like the saboteur knew exactly what to hit on us. We're fucked. And because he's been creepily watching this scientist in her sleeping
Who is
pod,
also pretty.
who is a nice pretty lady.
Yeah.
Because he's creepily doing that still, he actually saw Petrovich at some point, I assume, get out of his pod. He's been pretending to go into cryo and leaving when people aren't there, and that's how he
Races around and starts the fires and lets the gas out.
that is
and
not how the
causes
aliens get out, though.
mayhem. No, the aliens get out with something just much simpler and much
They just weren't frozen.
dumber from a human factor.
Now that's what happens next, and this scene bugged the heck out of me for a lot of reasons. So Chibuzo's singing as she's messing with this, which is interesting because it's similar to like Wendy's like talking to the alien. Someone kind of pointed that out, that she also kind of sings near the alien. We see the octopus alien watching her very closely. I think we see her from its perspective. The octopus alien, the eye, obviously doesn't act in a threatening way like most of the other creatures seem to do. She's doing an experiment with a dead rat because she's trying to figure out if the aliens are getting, the leeches are getting oxygen through the blood. And so she like drops it in the tank. The leech starts to eat it. While this happens, another leech figures out how to crawl out of the container and open it.
Very deliberately showing some signs of intelligence, being able to create a plan and then enact it.
I think it watched her close the lid on the other one and kind of like realizes it can sneak its arm through, reaches over and unlatches and unscrews this thing. It crawls out. While this happens,
Octopus is
banging on the glass, which immediately I was like, oh, this kind of changes everything with Octopus. In that it's like, clearly this was like as big of a like, hey dummy, like I'm trying to help you out situation.
Is Eyeball an empathetic alien trying to help the humans, or does it hate this other race of leeches? Is there a secret Eyeball versus leeches battle that we don't know about?
I think there is something that I think is very interesting about all of the creatures. I assume they all got these from one planet. I assume this is where the xenomorphs are from. But wherever this planet is, it's so hostile that every form of life there has like an insane amount of defense. Like genetics built into it, right? Like the alien's blood is made of acid. It's obviously a predator, but it also has like every little thing you'd think that would hurt it. Like it has a way to kind of like turn that into something else. But I mean, we know a shit ton about the xenomorph. We understand that it's obviously like the super killing machine. But the leeches also, we find out later, which we'll get to, they have this like, when you try and remove them from a creature, they like emit a gas. I don't know if it immediately poisons you or if it spreads something, but they have like insane defense mechanisms. The octopus doesn't seem to have the same thing. It very much relies on like symbioting some sort of other thing, which makes it interesting. We haven't seen whatever this frickin' hanging pod does yet. We'll see when we get to that. That's obviously going to be something important because I kind of keep showing it here and there on the pads and stuff. I think we'll get to whatever that thing is. So, it is interesting that every like plant, like every life form on this planet is obviously used to dealing with like, and maybe it's all because they're built around that this like xenomorph, the heightened predator, like exists in this planet. So like everything needs to be weird. My theory is that the octopus eye is the natural enemy to the xenomorph. I think on their planet they have a constant struggle, and I think you kind of see that a little bit later. That's like my theory, and I think it makes the most sense, and it makes the most like it makes it the most interesting. I think the leech has some intelligence, but it's the same kind of thing as like a crow kind of intelligence. Like, whoa, I never thought it was capable of that, but it's still like it is still just kind of acting in a reproduction way.
I was willing to put it up there with the xenomorph.
Yeah,
because to me, the leeches looked like they were working together, one to distract, and then one to enact the plan. So
That's
it did
fair.
seem like there
That
was
is pretty
some
high level.
coordinated effort to do all this. But certainly the eyeball looks like the most intelligent of the alien species so far.
So it's tapping on the glass. This leech comes out, and then very disgustingly crawls over the open water bottle that's on the table in a biology lab scenario, which bugs the living hell out of this.
Again, they're not good at their job.
Her having this
they're not
sandwich
good at their
open, but
job.
I assume it's like they're trying to be like this. There's always the like idiot savant who's like, oh, I know my tools over there in the pile. Like my garage, I know where most of the stuff is in it, but it's kind of a mess. I don't consider myself an idiot savant, but I do know where I placed everything. I think they're trying to make it kind of that thing where like, what an unorthodox
I disagree.
scientist. But I think
it's at the tail end of a long journey.
That's fair.
Where they picked the people who could be gone for 65 years, who had such financial problems or legal problems or whatever, that they found themselves in this spaceship in the first place.
I just wonder if she's like book smart, good at science, but obviously isn't doing good science, if that makes sense.
I mean, you could talk me into like she was a scientist at a prestigious whatever.
I mean, she does do surgery later.
She does a whoops-a-daisy, a big mishap, and she's blackballed from science going forward. Her only recourse is to get on this ship, and now she's...
Like, either way, I've done all sorts of like test experiments in my career. I think I'll drink water and stuff near something, but I work in technology where the worst thing that could happen is I could ruin the electronics that I'm around. Like, they know enough about all these things to know that like their whole thing is like biological warfare, and you want to eat a sandwich and have an open bottle of water in the lab with you. Like, to me, that should be the most, like, it should be a clean environment. They obviously have some security protocols because they have these like containers that lock. She forgot to put the top, like the secure latch top on the one that the leech gets out of. The other scientist walks in and actually grabs the leech that had hid in her sandwich with the tongs and puts it back in, and is like, and she's like, whoa, I definitely put the lid back on that. And you're like, yeah, but you got to put the like other lid on. She gets mad at the octopus because the octopus is tapping the glass. So she puts the octopus away, doesn't fully secure it. Granted, they do kind of leave the room in a hurry because they're like, the alien got out. We need to go do this other thing. But she gets whatever sprayed in her water and just picks up her water bottle and carries it off. Yeah, this I agree with you. It's total bad science. It's definitely a crux of the whole situation. What happens here though that's interesting is like normally the alien story is like that we have the hubris to think we can maintain and carry and capture this thing, and this is a little bit less of that and more of a bunch of whoopsie daisies.
Yeah, and I'll go further. Sci-fi in general
Yeah,
is normally a bunch of smart people running forward with their technology. And yes, the hubris is the thing that takes them down. This is another reason why the crew is so expendable, is because they put a bunch of nitwits up there
that's fair.
to grab them and just transport them back. I mean, we're not a very difficult job here. This is some pretty low-level science as well. Where do they get their oxygen? I mean, they're doing some pretty basic 100-level stuff that they're trying to figure out. This is not our best and brightest that are on this spaceship here.
At this point, they all kind of gather around. Morrow is telling them that there's someone on our crew is the bad person. He obviously hasn't found out yet that it's Petrovich. He's like, we're now only allowed to be 2 at a time everywhere on the ship. And me and this other security officer have guns, and that's it right now. And they're like, whoa, we have guns on board, which I thought was kind of funny because, like, obviously they have guns on board. First things first, I'm going to look at the tape, and I'm going to interrogate you one by one to figure out what's going on and go fix the fire and I think they say we need to wake up more people to like figure out what the hell, like, because we're going to need more help. But I don't think he does it yet at this point. Our engineer and engineer's apprentice go off to go fix. But before that happens, the engineering apprentice grabs our scientist's water bottle and takes a nice little big sip, which is too bad for him. Later, they're in the hallway. He's basically doing the equivalent of holding the flashlight for your dad changing a tire on the side of the road while the older engineer fixes this thing. Kind of starts to cough, and the engineer's like, if you throw up, I'm going to be so mad. And then he does throw up, and it's blood. And the engineer then goes from like cranky old man to like, oh, I actually care about you. They go off to the med bay. And now they're locked in the med bay with the 2 scientists. And Morrow shows up. Captain Zavari's there. They've closed themselves into the med bay, and they are trying to figure out what happened to him. They do a scan of his body, realize that the leeches are on his lungs. Morrow says, we need to put him into cryo. Captain Zavari makes her biggest mistake of the day, I think, and says he'll die before we get to cryo. And as they're trying to remove the leeches from his lungs, the leeches start spraying this gas.
Makes a big fart.
They both start choking, and Morrow's like, you know what you have to do, and she ends up having to hit the button that, again, this is like, it's such like poor planning in that this is supposed to be such a good like ship. Though I guess the ship's probably garbage too, but they like hit this thing and it sprays a gas that kills all the people in the lab. But they don't have like burn it or like multiple steps, like gas. Like, how do you know it's going to kill everything? Like normally a place like that has this high level of stuff, like flame is almost always involved in like how you destroy something. But it should have like multiple levels because they're like, we don't know enough about the aliens to know what would kill them. Obviously, the leeches don't die. The little babies climb into the vent, which we don't even see again, which I thought was a little weird. They show them kind of go off into the vent. So unless we see them in the city later, which is what could happen, or we see them do that again later on Never Never Land, like to me that was kind of a weird point because it was mute. They don't do anything else on the ship. They just go into the vent. But they're now all dead. the two doctors / scientists and our poor engineer's apprentice who doesn't know what an engineer's apprentice is.
And it's not long before everyone else is dead, too.
Yeah, we get a nice little scene where Morrow finds out from Creepy Tang that somebody's waking up in the pods. He's going through all the videos, which again, this is what bugs me the most about Mother is like, why would they not be monitoring all outgoing and ingoing calls? Especially, like, I get it if the security officer doesn't have the time for that because he's a human, he does all these things, but you're like a super intelligent AI, like that seems right up your alley.
It seems like that would have been caught before. I agree with that.
Also, a call from BK Whopper King from Boy Cavalier seems super suspicious. Like, obviously,
He
probably
probably has a
bounced it
burner
through
or something,
VPNs and whatever, but like, you'd think his like voice would be on some sort of like automatic recognition. This is an issue. Also,
Yeah.
why is he making the call? You're the CEO of this giant thing. The last thing you want is some sort of like legal fiasco. So like, why is there not a patsy doing this thing?
Oh, yeah,
for
I think
him?
that was pretty. I think that was streamlined for plot. I
They
agree
just
with
wanted
that.
us to know that it was
Yeah.
BK that did it. Yeah, I thought that was. I thought all you needed was somebody with a Wayland Yutani badge on his thing, or like you're gonna make Boy Cavalier super happy, or like you'll be in his good graces, or whatever. But like having him have the conversation made zero sense to me. The only way it makes sense is if he's doing this outside of his own company, but it doesn't seem like companies, and his especially, are ran by some sort of board. It's like him making all the decisions.
Agree.
This guy Petrovich turns out to be the bad guy. I don't think we ever really saw him except for maybe in the beginning kitchen scene in the first season. They have a little battle where Morrow goes to find Petrovich. They shoot at each other a little bit. Morrow tricks him, goes around, stabs him in the back, literally, with his enhanced arm. And then it's at that point, it's just kind of all out alien battling.
It's chaos, yeah, at that point. The aliens are everywhere. Everybody's running around. Alien is killing everybody. And this is pretty much where we started.
The xenomorph is
In
hunting
episode 1.
Zavari. She goes into a room, closes the door, and starts to try and weld it shut with a propane torch, which isn't going to work. And she turns to the engineer who's in the room, and we get our eye moment where she's going like, "Hey, I need your help. Like, help me." The xenomorph's going to get in, and then he does the little slow turnaround, and obviously the octopus is in his eye. Oh, didn't mention this, but the octopus knocks the glass off because it wasn't set fully, breaks out, and obviously it's just on the loose. It jumps into the engineer, takes him over. So now our Captain Zavari is literally between octopus alien and xenomorph that's like banging on the door. Door blasts open. Captain Zavari doesn't know what the fuck to do. And at that point, it looks like octopus engineer makes a jump at the captain, but like leaps over her and jumps on the back of the alien. They fight for a while. The alien stabs in the back several times with his tail. I think the octopus jumps out of the guy and takes off. But that's kind of when I thought it was like making it even more clear that I think they're kind of like natural enemies. I think like the eyeball is a very intelligent species, and I think it's natural enemies of that. But it doesn't seem to have a very easy way of communicating though.
I think that's a fair guess.
That's when we get our little turnaround. He turns around, he's got his eye. Answered your question. Yes, you can tell that there's an octopus in your skull.
And it was an effective jump scare.
Yeah. And then we jump right into the first episode where it's Zavari pounding on the door to have Morrow let her in. He does not. He prematurely tells Mother that the entire crew is dead in a I know it's about to happen kind of way. She kind of tries to run away and immediately is just murdered by the xenomorph. We obviously saw the xenomorph kill Creepy Tang earlier. R.I.P. Creepy Tang. And then we get one last scene, and that is Morrow talking to the CEO of Wayland Yutani. and she says, my grandmother spoke so highly of you. I think our lawyers are going to be able to get all these specimens back. They're negotiating with them. He says that's not going to work. We're going to have to take them back, and I'm going to have to kill him. This pleases her, and as she walks away, she says to one of her henchmen, give him anything he needs.
And I think that's going to lead us into a very exciting episode 6.
I think he's going to fall and die.
Fall in love?
No, he's just going to fall down some stairs, and
Oh.
then they'll have to find somebody else to do the dirty.
I think he's going to fall in love.
One other small theory, which I don't think is right, but I like anyways, is that one of the kids is his daughter.
Interesting. That's
That
interesting.
I think Curly could possibly be his daughter.
Okay.
But obviously Curly as the child died much earlier than 19. But
Yeah.
I think she was at an age where she'd be young enough in the past. But then again, I probably would have noticed that they're the same person. So I think it's a loose connection, but I think it would be an interesting twist if one of the kids somehow knew him.
Well, I like that theory.
I'm very excited to find out more about what's going on between Curly and Wendy. I'm very excited to see why Kirsch is not really... He doesn't seem to get in the way of anything. He seems to just kind of watch stuff and wait for things to happen, and it's all just kind of interesting to him. So I still am waiting to find out what his motives are.
Yeah. Kirsch and what does Eyeball do next, I think are my
Eyeballs and
biggest,
a goat right
the biggest
now.
things I'm watching in
And the
episode
goat-
6.
The goat is definitely just watching.
Yes.
It was not pounding on the wall. It wasn't reacting. He's definitely just waiting for something. It'll be interesting if it finds a way to communicate. All right.
Well, let's find out.
Anything to say?
Stay gold.
Stay golden, boy.